Welcome everybody to another video. Today I'm joined with another very special and incredible guest. Will, he is an incredible client of mine who's just wrapped up his 3 months working together. And today we're going to talk a bit more about his journey, his breakthroughs, and his transformation. So welcome, Will. How are you feeling today and where are you calling in from?
Hi, Blake. Thanks for having me. I'm living outside of Philadelphia, and yeah, it's really been an incredible 3 months. I have learned a lot about myself. I feel like it's a lifelong process of growing and learning, and I feel like a lot has happened in these 3 months. So I'm happy and grateful about that, and yeah, happy to share more about the process with you now.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Will, and looking forward to diving in. So the way I like to do is to begin with, right? When you first joined the program, right? Can you tell me exactly where you were at in your life just before you joined? Like what was happening? What were some of the issues that you were going through in your life back then?
Yeah. So I signed up to work with you. I was some anxious attachment stuff was coming up for me, and that was I could see that it was holding me back from being as present as I wanted in my life, of really enjoying life to the fullest. And I had explored some of that myself, but I really wanted to work one on one with somebody who knew about that. And from seeing your content online, reading the letters and things you wrote, it was just obvious to me that you had an understanding of this, and I wanted to see, what that could look like to dive deeper.
Awesome. And so I know you mentioned like you were more on the anxious attachment side of things, but can you share a bit more about what were the actual challenges and problems that were going in your life, like some more tangible metrics, like how was that affecting your life?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm trying to think how to phrase this. I mean, I feel like I was outsourcing my worth, like, to other people in my life. I was in a relationship at the time, and or had was figuring out kind of where that was going and how I could show up in a way where like I was content and happy with me. I think so much of my life was kind of like fitting in with other people, with friends, with romantic partners, and kind of almost gauging my worth based upon certain reception from other people. So I knew that something had to change there, that I needed to come back home to me and be able to kind of like generate this internal happiness. And I could do that to some extent, but I was noticing that when certain external things weren't aligned or going the way I wanted, that it was impacting how I felt. And I didn't like to give my power away to other people or situations.
Hmm. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And obviously, I can relate to that myself along my journey, and I'm sure many other men watching this. So then, obviously, we did start to work together, and you joined the program. Can you tell me a little bit about what were your favorite parts about the program when you joined? What did you really like and most resonate with?
Yeah. Well, I feel like working with you, and it's funny because you're younger than me in age, but I feel like it's almost like this like older brother that I wish I had growing up, of just like offering me this kind of guidance that, I learned some stuff growing up, but like that kind of like masculine leadership, that, I could have gotten from, father figure, older brother, that sort of thing. Um, yeah, like I was able to learn and then embody these kind of like skills, ways of being that got me to show up in a bigger way. So I think throughout our coaching, it was kind of like, um, yeah, just like points along the way of kind of like looking at myself. Is this the way I want to show up in relationship, in friendship, in my integrity? And I, there were definitely opportunities for improvement, and I think that was really big for me. Um, and you know you gave me certain kind of homework, so to speak, along the way, like exercises each week to do. And yeah, those were able to give me valuable information of like where I was at and where I could improve. So I don't, I mean, I don't want to like share too much, because I know that's, for each person to discover along the way. But yeah, like the structure of the program was helpful.
Mm, awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So obviously with our time together, we went super deep as well, right, in certain aspects. Was there anything that really stood out for you that really resonated in your soul of like that this was like such a powerful moment, or this was a core of the transformation? Was there any moment that really stood out to you?
That's a good question.
And
I'm
obviously,
sure there.
share what you feel comfortable sharing, of course, but
Sure, yeah. I mean, there were so many moments along the way. I'm trying to like parse out, one or two that was really impactful. Um, I mean, you said so many times, like for me to like kind of like feel the feelings and sit with it, and I feel like in my own way, I'd been doing that for years, and I think that I was in some ways doing it incorrectly. I was, like it's such a fine line between over dwelling and kind of over feeling and perpetuating these feelings, and then also effectively processing them.
mm,
So I feel like I got better at being able to feel the feelings and not go into the story about it, not kind of create these narratives, but actually, yeah, feel what was arising. And I think one of the things that you pointed out that was like a nice signpost is that, because I was also dealing with some tension in my body and some pain, like some chronic pain of when these sensations come up, it's like my inner child speaking to me and wanting to be felt and acknowledged. And I think that beforehand, it was easy to view that as a nuisance of kind of like, oh God, it's this thing again. I don't want to feel this, and having this kind of perspective of like, I want this to go away. So when we dove into the somatic sessions together, and even just kind of like guidance in the regular sessions, it got me to recognize that I was really dealing with this childlike part of myself. And how would I treat a child? How would I treat someone innocent that's just wanting to get my attention and care? So I think that shift of perspective was able to help me unlock um, like a deeper integration and a deeper healing.
yeah, super powerful because that's one of the challenges that people face, right? When things come up, the discomfort or the noise or the emotion beneath it, people run away from it or make it wrong, and they try to reject it or push it away. When really that's just your younger self crying for your attention, for your presence, and it won't go away until you show up for it. And it's there for a reason. And when we, because every time we neglect it and push it away, we're again making this part of us wrong, right? And obviously that part is then going to sabotage you, and because it's being abandoned and neglected again, right? So yeah, well done again for going in deep and doing the work that was necessary. I know we went through a few challenges along this way, like everybody does, because it's uncomfortable, right? It's the real work. So yeah, I just want to honor you again, Will, for doing that and the way you showed up. So then you did join the program, and you had this powerful transformation. Can you share a little bit more about where you are now in your life compared to before in terms of your issues, your wounds, your traumas, and your overall happiness and relationship with yourself?
Yeah, I do feel like I'm much more at peace with myself. Um, just my nervous system has calmed down a lot. And it was interesting because I feel like a litmus test for me was reconnecting with friends who I didn't really see over the course of the 3 months that we worked together, and just even seeing how I showed up in different dynamics that might have been stressful, or whatever it was. Like I was able to see, like, with my dad, for instance, with certain friends, with just even just general like social situations that may have brought up a little bit of like unsettled nerves in my system. I feel like I am more grounded, more aligned, less reactive. And that feels really good. Like it feels like I'm more me, and there's like more spaciousness to be me. Um, and in addition to that, I feel like one of the things we talked about on our calls was me exploring my creativity. I for me, it's a hobby now of like writing and art, and it's these things that it was always this kind of delicate balance of not going into performance, not going into this perfectionism, this judge, this critic. And I feel like I was able working with you to soften a lot of those voices, and yeah, be able to create in a really enjoyable way. Like I just was making art today, and I enjoyed it. Like it was fun. And I think it's kind of like like embracing that kind of playful childlike nature that is so essential to be a creative and, beyond just being in whatever in an art session, like to live life that way. So I think calming down my nervous system, feeling more at peace, developing a deeper sense of trust, yeah, has allowed that like little boy to come out and play even more.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's what life is about, right? Of being able to express and to play and explore. But obviously, for that, we have to create the safety, right, for this little boy to come out, which is fundamental. Otherwise, if there's no safety, then why would it come out, right? But in order to get there, we need to work through, process all the fears and emotions and the blockages. So yeah, I just love that so much, man. Of like at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. That we can all come to this world and express our most authentic parts of us. The little child who can just come out, create, play, and explore. So
Mhm.
yeah, man, that's really, really powerful. So with that being said, then Will, you mentioned the more regulation in your nervous system, more creative side in your playfulness and your art and your self-expression. Are there any other ways that this has positively affected your life now? How else is this showing up in your life as well in other areas?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I'm just sitting with it to see. I mean,
I love it.
I
Sit.
think,
It's all about right. Sit with it.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I feel like I'm at a space in my life where like I'm a few moves away from like living a really rich expression, and it's like I think I'm a little bit still standing in my own way, or maybe not standing in my own way, but like still making decisions to move ahead. Um, so like I wish I could say like I'm totally living a different life right now than I was at the start of the program, and I feel like I'm very close to that. And it obviously takes action, it takes choices to move in that way. Um, but like I said before, I mean, my dynamic with my dad has really changed and improved in a beautiful way. Um, I mean, I guess I'm a little bit maybe downplaying some things, but I feel like um, I do invest. Like that's part of what I do, and there have been some really great opportunities and some business moves this year, and just kind of things that have come into alignment that um, really feel great. And like I was saying, these these creative areas, I'm getting more clarity on the kind of relationships that work for me, and I would say I guess I haven't spoken into this yet, but um, yeah, like really feeling and knowing what a loving relationship feels like, knowing like I don't really like to use the word deserve, but like what I want and what I need, and like what I don't want to settle for,
Mm.
and I think
Knowing
having
your
like,
worth, right? Your self worth.
yeah, knowing my worth. And I think honestly that's a journey. Like I'm still stepping into that. Like in some ways I feel like I need to come out and be like, everything's completely different, and I'm this person, and I kind of wish I was. And I know that it's a process, and I know that I'm stepping into that person more each day. And I think that there is that kind of recognition of seeing like, this is who I am, and this is the kind of relationship I want.
Mm. Yeah, you mentioned something there really important as well of like being on this journey, right? Of obviously there's still things that you're working through, right? And just like I am, just like all of us. But now you know the direction that you're going in, and you have the tools and awareness to work through that and to continue to step into it day by day. It's about showing up consistently in your truth and aligned to your truth, and most importantly, bringing all of yourself, including the little boy, with you, where he feels safe to go on this journey with you, right?
Yeah, totally.
Mm.
And I think that that is big. It's like having those tools, because I like an old pattern of mine is like wanting this level of certainty and everything to be sort of in place, and this kind of like rigidity on my part. But I think working with you and really any kind of improvement in life and personal development, spirituality, is like being able to ride the waves. And I think that I'm definitely better at that. And I trust that as life unfolds and with new experiences, that'll improve even more. So it's like
Mm.
learning how to serve, learning how to, adapt to life and what it throws at you.
Yeah, that deeper knowing, the deeper trust that it's all going to work out. Love it. Okay, then. So when it comes to this work as well, Will, quite a few people, they have resistance of doing this work with me, for example, because they feel that I have not personally lived their life experience, right? For example, I haven't lived your life, right? And so they feel that I won't necessarily be able to support them or guide them on this journey. What would you say to the person watching this who feels that, oh, this person can't support me because they haven't lived my life,
Hmm.
just like I haven't lived your life, right?
Sure. Well, I mean, I certainly learned a lot from you, and I feel like yeah, I don't think it's necessary that you've lived all my experiences. And I think from some of our calls, we have realized that we have had kind of similar, I don't know, like parental structures and things. So I think it is helpful to have like a level of relatability. But I also feel like, I mean, you're speaking into these truths that exist that I think, like its alignment, its resonance, um, I think it does, it I don't want to say it's like one size fits all, but I think it's these things that are just like inherently true about life and transformation and being. And I think that, you and I have had moments where, I've come up against and I've kind of like pushed up against you. And I feel like you've done a really good job of like holding space and holding this container for me to explore. And I think, ultimately, a lot of the work I did, I think it's like I'm coming to these conclusions myself. Like, I don't know, like you never told me what to do, but I think it's like you kind of like reminded me and held space for me, and or this kind of like constant loving presence as I'm on this journey. So I, and I think that's incredibly valuable. Um, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Will. Because you said something very important there again, right? Of I'm not here to tell people what to do, right? But I'm here to help you, remind you that you know what you want to do, and to help mirror it back to you so that you can go pursue that, what it is for you, right?
Hmm.
Because again, it's you living your life, right? But I'm here to support you to work through these blockages and barriers so that you can see and know your deeper truth of what you truly want, and then go after it, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and then we're nearly here. There, we're just gonna wrap this up here with a few more questions. So sometimes, so for the person watching this, right, there's many people that watch my content and my videos and my testimonials, and they feel inspired to this work, right? Maybe they've done some surface level work before, they've been to therapy, they listened to podcasts, they read books, they do all this surface level stuff, which has helped, but they still yet haven't had this deep transformation which they want and they know that they deserve and they're worthy of. But there's a part of them which is scared to just commit and to do this actual deep work. What would you say to the person who's on the fence but is just scared of diving in deep into their past and to reclaiming all these parts of them that they've abandoned, and yeah, to do this deep work?
Well, I would say that, I mean, and I was smiling as you said that. I mean, so much stuff. I mean, stuff's a vague word, but so many things unfolded over the course of us working together that it felt like it was total divine planning. Um, yeah, just different things recalibrating themselves, and I don't think that I mean, would have happened or that I would have responded in such a way if I didn't commit with you and jump into this container. So, I mean, I've had issues with commitment in the past where I've haven't always wanted to jump in, but I do feel like committing and signing up for this, it created this container, really like a sacred container to work with and to be with this. I mean, it was an intense 3 months for me, and it was very emotional. It was draining at times. It was trying, and I think to know that it existed in this container for a certain amount of time, that it was with you, it was here. It's like that really gave me. I don't want to say permission, but like to dive deeply into this work and to take it seriously, the financial commitment, the time commitment, all of it. So I don't know that like anything really comes without that commitment, because yeah, like there were times when I was confused. There was times when I didn't know what way to go, and it's if I didn't have commitment, it would have just been like, I'm out, or I don't know this. And I think that
Mm.
coming back to my commitment to myself and to you and to what we created, it's like when those moments of questioning or just like where is this going, which I think is totally normal and understandable in any kind of deep kind of process work, it keeps you in the saddle and doesn't
Mm.
have you eject.
Yeah, the most important thing in this work is the commitment, right? Of energetically, emotionally, financially, everything, right? To show yourself how important this is to the work for yourself, most importantly for yourself, right, and other people. But is you showing that this actually matters, and I am invested and committed to making a change and to transforming my life. So yeah, so obviously, I'd like to get your thoughts on, or to hear about your truth here about how important you think it is for this work to be with a one-on-one high-ticket coach compared to like a group coaching or this, a low-ticket community. How important do you think this work in that sense? Do you feel that this transformation would be possible in a low-ticket like school community or like a mixed group coaching or not? I'm super
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and I mean, I have been in a program for 2 years with about 100 people, and that's been valuable. And I think that there are certain things you can get from that group, where it's emotional co-regulation, just different kind of dynamics, different energies that I think are really helpful. So I think there's a place for that, but I also think and really know that working one on one, especially with someone like you who I can text, kind of after hours. I can send you a voice note. You were really great about getting back to me right away. Um, with some of this deeper stuff, I think is essential to work with someone deeply one on one and someone who you trust and has your back. And I've said this to you before, and I think it's like I felt like we had this dynamic where like we were friends. Like I really liked you and I trusted you, and I also trusted your professional abilities and how you show up for me. So like that was a really important dynamic. And yeah, I mean, pretty much from the beginning, I felt comfortable opening up. And yeah, I was able to go deeper with you than I was in sort of group dynamics. And I think, in group dynamics, there are that kind of, especially if some of the wound is around being in group or say speaking up, it's like it makes sense that you can work that there.
Hmm.
But I think when it comes to, I mean, and for me, like having the personal attention and feeling really seen and the level of presence that you had, like that's really important. And yeah, I think that's for me, and I would imagine most people that it's really important um, part of the process.
Hmm. No, of course, and I've said it before, right? Everything has its purpose, right? Some groups are great for many things, right? But this, what I've seen in everyone that I work with, this work requires so much presence, as you said, the support and the commitment to go in so deep that you don't get that level of support in a group. This is impossible, right? But obviously, that being said, their investment is going to be more because it's a lot more time and effort and energy into this process. So, with that being said, then Will, so let's say there's somebody that again who wants to do this work, they're on the fence, they're all in, they're just scared of committing and investing financially into themselves. Whether that's because they've been burnt before, they've had bad experiences, or they just have a bad relationship with money, or they don't think they're worth it. What would you say to the person who's on the fence and the only thing blocking them is their fear of financially investing and committing to this journey?
Yeah, well, my philosophy has always been every time I've done something, it's like I look at the macro, and every time I've invested in myself, I've gotten so much back. And I feel that my time with you was totally worth the money I spent with you. It was really worth more than that. And I also feel like I learned certain things and grew in certain ways I didn't expect, and maybe like I had this idea coming in, and I think that it was I was going to learn X, Y, and Z, and I actually learned other things. So I think sometimes we have to let go of what we think we're getting, but I feel like I am a more evolved version of myself, and it's in some ways it's hard to kind of calculate and quantify what that is. And I think that um, yeah, it. There's definitely a leveling up process, and I think that, I mean, I guess to speak into that question, it is a personal decision to spend money, and I think that yeah, it's like how much you value yourself. And for me, the best investments I've made have been in myself. And you know, it not everything is totally tangible. Like, oh, am I making like 100 times what I was making before? Maybe, and maybe I will. And also just like how I'm showing up in relationship. And that's what I was saying to a friend yesterday, last week, is like I feel like I'm evolving in my, you know, relationships, how I speak with people, how I interact. And it's like these are things that most people might kind of overlook and be like, oh, that doesn't matter so much, but that's life. And I feel like that's what I chose to work on with you and in this other program I'm doing. And it's like, to me, that's invaluable, to be able to show up in a way that's authentic to me, that's able to honor my needs, my boundaries, and also have a deeper kind of intimacy and connection, which I would think most people would want to experience. Uh,
Mm, totally. Yeah, like me and you, we have a very similar philosophy about investing in ourselves, right? Or the most important person you can invest in is yourself, because we're going to spend and throw down the toilet thousands of dollars every year anyway on shit we don't really need, right? This is going to go anyway, right? So you also, when you're showing to yourself that you're worth this, that because you're going to be with yourself the rest of your life, right? Things are going to come and go. You could buy the most expensive iPhone, go on a fucking bougie 3 week cruise ship, right? But that's you know, if you're not even actually present and you can't actually enjoy it, then why even go on a cruise in the first place, right? If you're just there thinking about, oh, I want the yacht next time, like, oh, I'm ungrateful I don't have the fucking yacht, right? Well, I'm
Sure.
ungrateful that I don't have the hot chick with me. I'm just with my two bros. It's like if you can't enjoy those things, then you can't enjoy anything, no matter how much money you make, right?
Totally. I mean, really, yeah, the quality of the life you're living is paramount. It's the most important thing. And I feel like, yeah, that's what we worked on a lot, is slowing down enough to actually be present to that, not kind of having all these filters and these screens on, so to speak, in my experience of life that were getting in the way of actually experiencing in its trueness, in its reality. So I think
Mm,
being able to get to experience life fully and truly is the most important thing, and worth everything to get there.
mm, beautiful. I think you've summed up everything in the perfect, most beautiful way, man. So, brother, it's been a complete honor and pleasure working with you, man. It's been inspiring to see your journey. I know, we got there, right? It was challenging. It was just like anything, but really, really grateful for the way you showed up for yourself, the way you stayed committed, and really excited for what life has in future for you now, right? Of to continue to live in that truth, continue to live in that presence, showing up fully with the little boy inside of you. And this is just the beginning, man. Now this is where the real journey begins of you
Mhm.
integrating and taking all of this into the real life even more now and go and living that life, man. So thanks again for trusting me, for trusting my guidance, and most importantly for showing up for yourself, man. And obviously you and I will be in touch for sure.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Blake. I really appreciate you and your time, and yeah, you really impacted me in a beautiful way, and I'll remember that. And I trust that we will be in connection, and
For
this
sure.
isn't
You'll come down to Colombia for sure when you're going to come to one of the retreats here.
absolutely.
I'll probably come to one of your sound ceremonies one day when I'm in the States.
Mm,
All right,
great.
man. Wishing you all the best. Take care. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And again, if you're watching this and you felt something in your core, in your soul, that so there's something more in life that you want and that you want to go after it, you know what to do. Don't listen to your mind. Just follow your soul and let's come home together. Okay, you know where to find me. Message me, book a call. You can also have an incredible, powerful transformation in your life as long as you show up and you're committed. All right, everybody, take care. See you next time.